Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for stopping by the channel today to look at a few more 1957 Topps bridge players. This is a project that I'm working on this year. My big collecting goal for the year for my own collection is improving my representation of Negro League players and former Negro League players and integration and all of that in my collection. And so I'm working on a Z Folio, a zippered album that holds 360 cards that I'm going to try to fill up over the course of the year as sort of my tribute to the Negro Leagues and integration. And I've been covering in a couple of previous episodes some 1957 Topps pickups. And I'm really focusing on this. I had a friend of mine comment asking why the focus on 1957 Topps to pick up some of these players. And as you'll see when I get to the binder later on in the year, there's definitely going to be other sets represented. But I am focusing on a 2-page layout of 1957 Topps cards because they're the first standard-sized vintage Topps release that fits, nicely in an album. And there are a lot of players in the set, by chance, who played in the Negro League. So I have 5 cards today, all 1957 Topps, just really cheap pickups. Having fun chasing these down and trying to find, nice visually appealing examples of these for just a couple bucks. Or a few bucks. Obviously, with 350 plus cards to go in the album, I can't spend $20 per slot filling up the album, or it's going to become cost prohibitive. But I was able to get a lot of these cards for like in the $2 to $5 range, believe it or not. And we're going to start with the man that you've seen up in the background in graded format, Dave Pope. Became interested in him, researching him for an episode that I did a few weeks back. Picked up his 3 main cards, all in graded format, including the 1957 Topps release, but wanted to get this regular everyday example to go into the Z Folio so that I could have him represented in the binder for this project. So there he is alongside his graded format. Also have the ungraded Dave Pope. And you can refer back to that episode if you want to learn more about him. Pretty fascinating guy who just barely, briefly appeared, about as a small and Negro League career as you could possibly have. And then went on to enjoy some notable moments in the majors over the next few years. So cool card there. And then the other 4 are going to be new cards and new players that I haven't really talked about as part of this project yet. We're going to start with Bob Boyd. And a really nice looking classic pose and smile there from Bob on this card. Bob was in the Army during World War II. He's a veteran, and he also played for the Memphis Red Sox in the Negro Leagues for a few years before finally breaking into the majors. And he played with the White Sox, the Orioles, and then at the very end of his career, he had brief stints with the A's and the Braves. And actually what's cool is this year, the year this card came out, 1957, was the best year of his career. He was one of only 8 hitters to bat 300 or better in 1957. I think he actually finished 4th, from what I understand, in the batting race that year. And he is the uncle to Oil Can Boyd, the pitcher who was a longtime Red Sox pitcher in the 1980s and beyond. A lot of us that collected in the junk wax era, like myself as kids, are probably more familiar with his nephew, Oil Can, than we are with Bob, but really cool card there. I have his 1953 Topps card as well, which was graciously gifted to me by my buddy Peeps, my hobby buddy Peeps here on YouTube. So that's a treasured part of my collection also. But I never owned his 57 until now. Moving on, 3rd player out of 5 for today is Harry Suitcase Simpson. And he began his career with the Philadelphia Stars in the Negro League, his professional career, before later, of course, moving to Major League Baseball, which is why he's depicted in the 1957 Topps release. He became one of the first, the very early African-American players in the American League when he debuted with the Indians in 1951. So still relatively early on in integration when he made his Major League debut. And he went on to play for quite a few teams. I think he was in the majors for maybe like 8 years or 9 years, somewhere around that. But there's a look at the back. And his nickname, Suitcase, is not, contrary to popular belief, is not based on the many trades that he experienced late on in his career. I think it was actually, I read that it was based on like a cartoon character and the fact that he had very large feet or something along those lines. So Harry Suitcase Simpson there. And then we have two more to close it out. We'll start with this guy, Bill Bruton. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I should have probably looked that up before hitting record today. But he is actually, or was actually, the son-in-law of Judy Johnson, who is a legendary Negro League great. So Judy's daughter fell in love with and eventually married Bill Bruton, and he was Judy's son-in-law. And Judy actually helped him get a tryout with the Philadelphia Stars in the Negro Leagues. And now I think from what I read in at least one place, he was released by the Stars after spring training. And then he went on to do some, I think, minor league baseball play and some barnstorming. And I don't know if he barnstormed with a Negro League franchise or if that, spring training stint alone is kind of what gets him on many lists as a bridge player of sorts. But in any event, he would eventually replace fellow bridge player Sam Jethro on the Braves roster to begin the 1953 campaign. So he has a nice Milwaukee Braves card here from 57 Topps, and he would go on to play for the Tigers after the Braves and actually lasted in Major League Baseball all the way through the 1964 season. So a long MLB career for Bill compared to many of the other folks that I'm looking at in this ongoing series. And yeah, these cards, there's something really fun. I mean, I love graded cards, but I also love ungraded cards, and there's something really cool about lining up a bunch of these 1950s cards just out of the case and everything, and just kind of handling them as they came out of the packs, almost 70 years ago now. So the final card for today's episode, this guy played for many years with the Kansas City Monarchs and was a part of the very early group of players to integrate the game of baseball. That is Hank Thompson, depicted here with the New York Giants. Love the New York era Giants cards. I know I mentioned that recently in a separate video, but great smile here. Classic portrait. This card's in really great shape. I spent more for this than I did any of the other four in the background. I believe this was around $7, but it really looked like so fantastic and so well centered that I didn't mind ponying up a couple extra dollars, especially where I got the rest of those for probably under $5 on average. But I mentioned that Hank was one of the very early players to integrate the game of baseball, and I say that because he debuted in the 1947 season, the same year that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier and Larry Doby, of course, broke the American League color barrier. Hank Thompson played in the majors that same year. So he was one of a group of just 5 African Americans to debut in Major League Baseball in the year 1947. He's one of those original 5 from that first year. He was the first black player to play in both the American League with the Browns, not as a whole league, but with the Browns, an American League team, and then was also, alongside Monty Irvin, the first to play with the Giants in the National League. So he played a role in integrating 2 different franchises, which I think is unique to Hank Thompson, as far as I know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm not an expert here. I'm just a fan who's trying to learn more. So I try to research what I can, but I'm not perfect. And another thing that I learned about him that's very notable, in addition to being, I think, the only guy to help integrate 2 different franchises, I think he was the first black player to face a black pitcher in Major League action when he batted against Don Newcomb, who was also a part of that 1947, I guess, transition class, we'll call it. So pretty cool card there. Great smile. Whoops, as I drop it. Great smile. And a nice clean back as well. So there you have it. Hank Thompson, the 5th and final card that I wanted to profile today. Again, just having a blast with this project. I think it's so fun to learn about these guys, and these are going to look really, really nice laid out in the Z Folio that I have going. So I will do an update on that when it gets a little further along and a little closer to being full, and there's enough meat on the bone to merit it. But for today, we're going to cut the video there, keep it under 10 minutes in length, and be respectful of everyone's time. But I truly appreciate you giving a few minutes of your day to stop by here, check out this video, and learn hopefully a thing or two about some of these lesser celebrated players from this transition era. So thank you for your time. I'll be back soon with some more content. And until then, keep on enjoying the hobby, everybody. See ya.